how technology can make this world a better place. I think humanity worked against nature for a very, very long time, but technology and nature really can go hand in hand, and this is what we're going to show today.
Absolutely. Also, right thereafter in the morning, we're going to have a look at the pinnacle of innovation all over Europe in the path of building a digital Europe.
Then we'll have a lunch break, and after the lunch break, we will talk about how we can unlock the full potential of young talents in the ICT industry.
And we're waiting a lineup of industry leaders from Austria, but also from all over Europe, who will not only be delivering inspiring keynotes, but also will be answering our questions in our panel discussions.
And last but not least, we're going to launch 2 exciting projects today, which will have a big impact on nature, but also on society, so get excited for that.
And talking about being excited, we are very excited to introduce to you our first speaker, because he has been for many years the president of our beautiful country, and today he will kick off this amazing conference. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on the screen, here is the former president of Austria, Heinz Fischer.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I'm very happy to extend my greetings and best wishes to the Huawei European Innovation Day 2021 in Vienna. Huawei is one of the Chinese high-tech companies which came to the Austrian market and made outstanding contributions to Austrian infrastructure, construction of telecommunication and ICT personnel training. I recall with pleasure the signing ceremony between Huawei and 7 Austrian universities that took place under my auspices as President of Austria, which started the important young talents training project Future Seeds. Austria, situated in the heart of Europe, connects Western and Eastern European countries. Since ancient times already, Austria is promoting creative and innovative exchange between West and East. Huawei's motto is open markets, fair competition, and innovation. Dear ladies and gentlemen, Austria is globally known as an ideal place for investing and exploring the European market. Therefore, a lot of high-level companies like Huawei were attracted to Austria, which is an excellent melting pot of being classic and modern, artistic and scientific. This time, Huawei European Innovation Day 2021 takes place in Vienna at a very proper time in regard of European Union recent 10 years plan, which sets its focus on digitalization and green development, accounting for one of the most important development strategies for Europe. Innovation and ICT personnel training are the landmarks for future digital development and social progress. Austria therefore pays much attention to green development and education. During today's conference, you meet each other with Huawei and partners of the European Union to discuss issues of common concern and explore for the future. I wish the Huawei European Innovation Day 2021 a great success and express my hope that Huawei will make further contributions in terms of innovation and green solutions to Austria. Let's make joint efforts to contribute to a peaceful, successful and beautiful Austria and Europe. Thank you for your attention.
Heinz Fischer, wow, what a way to kick off this day. And as we have heard from Heinz Fischer, it's about creating a sustainable environment together and also using technology to make our planet a better place. And who knows better about that topic than our next speaker, because he is the Deputy Minister of the Austrian Federal Ministry of Agriculture, Region and Tourism. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on the stage, here is Andreas Reichert.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to speak to you today to the UI European Innovation Day 2021. I'm happy to see that after all the struggles of the past months, we have still managed to come here today to look at our future together. The theme, Innovate for a Sustainable Europe, clearly shows the importance of the combination of technology with its environment and the people all over Europe. Therefore, I would now like to address some of the goals of the Austrian government has set in the field of 5G. In order to succeed in an international competition, the applications and services that have been developed based on new key technologies have to be made available for the people all over Austria. This way, everybody is able to actively participate in the digitization process. As a country with a high wage level, Austria can only continue to further expand its industrial base through innovation and the technology used, thereby obtaining its competitiveness. Therefore, a modern and high-performing infrastructure is crucial. The aim is to establish Austria as a 5G pioneer in Europe, and beyond that, place it as one of the top 3 digitization countries within the European Union, as well as one of the top 10 countries globally. The 5G strategy pursued by the Austrian federal government aims at enabling the implementation of 5G with optimized framed conditions and thereby realizing the connected opportunities of citizens, economy, industry, and science. The 5G standard holds the access to the future digital world. It is the key not only to Industry 4.0, autonomous mobility, smart cities and smart villages, but also to cybersecurity, the latest education, as well as Internet of Things. With the early allocation of the important 5G radio frequencies, Austria has taken a crucial step. Thereby, the comprehensive supply of 5G until 2027 will be completed. In a first step, all cities with more than 10,000 inhabitants shall be covered. Moreover, with 98% of the highway as well as selected railway tracks will be provided with a fast cellular connection. Moreover, with innovation comes additional value for economy and population. There are several key aspects that 5G in combination with artificial intelligence can prove as a future benefit. The use of 5G combined with artificial intelligence shall help to foster Austria as the center of commerce and industry and support its further expansion. This will inevitably result in necessary changes for the citizens in a way that these technologies will help to simplify daily routines. 5G and artificial intelligence shall facilitate individual production steps as well as entire processes, save time where possible, and favor and create helpful forecasts for an enhanced future. The additional value for economy and population is therefore as follows. First, the ease of production processes in various sectors and industries. Second, the simplified creation of forecasts and predictions. Third, the personalized contact with citizens as a result of the availability of necessary data in the context of an enhanced flow of information on both sides. Fourth, thereby generated advertisements results in adapted product lines, which is also relevant for various industries. And last but not least, technologies generally support the production and counteract the waste management, for example in the food industry. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for your attention. I wish us all a beneficial and productive Huawei European Innovation Day 2021. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Andreas Reichert. Thank you for coming. Oh yeah, and you brought a fan with you. Beautiful. Yeah, and as we have heard now from Andreas Reichert, that sustainability is more important than ever. And also that technology can help us to overcome those challenges that we are facing. And our next speaker, she says innovation for a sustainable future. That is her motto. And she cannot be with us live today, but she sent us a video. She is live on screen for us. Please welcome the Senior Vice President of Huawei. Here is Catherine Chen.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Catherine Chen, Senior Vice President and Director of Huawei. This year, we decided to hold the 9th Huawei European Innovation Day in the beautiful city of Vienna, which is widely known as the music capital of the world. Music also holds a special place for people in China, and we often refer to close friends as those who can appreciate the music of the heart. Europe has been a close friend to Huawei for 2 decades. This friendship has transcended national boundaries and created a deep bond as we have faced challenges and opportunities together. Huawei's development over the past 30 years has been the result of contributions made by talent from industries all over the world, and our continuous investment in research. Over the past 20 years, we have always been committed to being in Europe for Europe and making contributions by fully leveraging our strengths. Huawei has a presence in every European country. Our first research center was established in Sweden in 2000, and we now have 23 R&D centers in Europe, including one in Austria and more than 14,000 employees, creating 224,000 jobs directly and indirectly. We also support more than 160 wireless networks in Europe, providing secure and reliable connections to around 500 million people. In Austria, we helped our carrier partners build Europe's best 5G network. Over the past 20 years, the European market has played a key role in Huawei's global business development. In return, Huawei's long-term commitment has contributed to economic growth in Europe. Digitalization is now the most important global consensus. More than 170 countries have released digital strategies, including the European Commission's 2030 Digital Compass. In addition, discussions on cutting carbon emissions and tackling climate change are gaining increasing attention worldwide. The EU has announced its goal to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. I would like to take the opportunity today to talk about Huawei's strategies and initiatives in green technology, digital innovation, and talent cultivation. First, we will continue to innovate in science and technology to enable green development and environmental protection, address climate challenges, and protect biodiversity. Digital technologies play a key role in saving energy and cutting emissions. According to the World Economic Forum, by 2030, ICT-enabled emissions reduction across various industries will reach 12.1 billion tons, 10 times the emissions of the ICT industry itself. Under the carbon peak and carbon neutrality goals, we have established Huawei Digital Power Company. This promotes clean energy and digitalized traditional energy by combining digital technologies with power electronics to use bits to manage words. In September this year, Huawei won the WWF Climate Solver Award 2020. By June 2021, Huawei Digital Power had helped customers generate 403.4 billion kilowatt-hour of green power, saving 12.4 billion kilowatt-hour of electricity and reducing emissions by 200 million tons, equivalent to planting 270 million trees. While promoting green development, technologies can also help people better understand and preserve nature. Huawei Austria is working with the University of Vienna and the Austrian national parks on an ecological conservation project, where we use digital technologies and AI to observe birds living in reeds by lakes and develop protection measures. Second, we will keep working with innovators, pool strengths to facilitate digital transformation in various industries, support SMEs, and build an innovation ecosystem. We've already seen how technologies like 5G, cloud, and AI are driving digital transformation and enabling traditional industries to become more competitive in the digital era. In Austria, we cooperated with partners to build smart farms that use 5G networks as well as other advanced technologies like drones and AI. This has greatly improved productivity while reducing the environmental impact of the farms. In Poland, we helped the National Museum in Warsaw transfer its exhibits online, ensuring they remain accessible despite COVID restrictions. Digitalization also means great opportunities for SMEs. SMEs are the biggest innovators of our time. Huawei has held startup competitions in a number of European countries to discover great ideas for society. We also provide technology and funding to startups and promote the development of innovation ecosystems. Third, we will keep working with governments and academic institutions to train talent for society and industries and take theoretical research to practice. In the digital economy, talent will be the key to digital transformation and economic growth. Digital skills and literacy are not just essential to the digital economy, but also basic human rights in the new era, as defined by the United Nations. In Europe, Huawei has launched numerous programs such as Seeds for the Future, ICT Academy, and 1000 Dreams to establish a talent development ecosystem that covers universities and middle and primary schools. Huawei has set up 147 ICT academies in Europe, through which the company has certified more than 20,000 ICT talents. And our social contribution program, Seeds for the Future, has benefited more than 2,600 university students. The global digital economy is an open and connected system. Openness and cooperation represent the cornerstone of future development. Over the past 2 decades, Huawei has been a huge contributor to the European ICT industry. In the future, Huawei is committed to becoming a creator of local value and facilitator of the digital ecosystem in Europe. Together with our European partners, we will advance green development, accelerate innovation, promote talent cultivation, and build a better and sustainable digital Europe. Thank you all.
Catherine Chen, and yeah, wow, Huawei is on the forefront of creating a digital Europe together, also with an environmentally friendly focus. And today, for Sustainable Europe at the Huawei Innovation Day, European Innovation Day 2021, also it is a great pleasure to introduce to you the host of this evening, or of this day, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome the President for Huawei Central and Eastern Europe, as well as the Nordic region. Please welcome Philipp Gahn.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Here is Philipp Gahn. I'm head for the CE and the Nordic region in Huawei. Vienna is one of my favorite cities. It's my great honor to join you here today. Actually, today, the title of this year's Innovation Day is Innovated for the Sustainable Europe. As a company with deep roots in Europe, we are committed to supporting your long-term strategy to go digital and go green. Today, I would like to talk about what we're doing, in these areas, and to share our ideas on the future opportunity. I strongly believe that a digital Europe should be a green Europe first. The two goals connected. New energy will play key role in our fight against climate change, and it will also build a solid foundation for the future digital world. At the same time, the digital technology will help drive the development of new energy. We are making great progress in these areas. Huawei's new energy solutions serve more than 200 customers worldwide. And in total, we have cut carbon emission by 200 million tons. For example, in Greece, we help the telecom operator to cut power consumption of their mobile sites by more than 50% with the solar panels. Now, every mobile site can save 15,000 kilowatt hour of electricity every year. A digital Europe should also be connected Europe. Technology like 5G, cloud, and computing and AI are developing together with industries. It's not only creating new business value, and it also creating the new societal value. For example, during the pandemic periods, we have always working with our partner, our customer operators, to keep their network working. Across Europe, we work very hard to boost network capacity and complete over 20,000 maintenance tasks to help people stay at work, stay in the school, and stay safe. Here in Vienna, we work with local operators to deploy 5G-powered robots in hospitals. They help perform tasks like distributing medicine and taking the temperature, which help to keep the doctor and the patients safe. In Hungary, we help our customer and deploy in Europe the first fully connected smart port to keep important resources moving during this difficult time. Moving forward, we will continue to support the EU to reach the 2030 digital strategy goals. to provide 100 times faster network speed for 500 million European people, to build the ICT infrastructure to cover everything, and to help key industry with digital transformation, such as transportation, financing, education, and healthcare. And we will not stop there. We believe that all industry can benefit from technology like 5G, and we will work hard to make it happen. A digital Europe should have a skilled workforce. Cooperation between company and the university is a good way to achieve this. Working together to help driving science forward, it also supports industry development. Over the past 10 years, Huawei has trained more than 30,000 ICT talents in Europe through our programs like Seeds for the Future. Over the next 5 years, we will invest about 35 million euros in local talents. We are in Europe, for Europe. And we strongly believe in creating good jobs and opportunities for local society. And finally, a digital Europe should be open to cooperation. The future intelligent world needs more stable value chain. And to build this value chain, we need to work together and for shared success. This includes governments, includes industry, university as SME. And also this will be a key trend moving forward. One of our core beliefs is the value of the shared success. We hold startup challenges in many countries like Austria, Poland, Finland to help build the local ecosystem. Every year, we provide technology and funding to support nearly 100 startups. By combining our efforts, we can build a thriving industry ecosystem. Today, we will show some of our achievements from our partner. This includes projects like 5G smart farming, using AI to protect the forest, smart ports, innovation challenge, and our Seeds for the Future scholarship program. Every project is an inspiring blend of the cooperation, social responsibility, and technology. I also invite to visit our 5G demo trunk just after the event. You can get hands-on experience with 5G use case like smart mining and AR gaming. It's very exciting. The famous management master Peter Drucker once said, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." These days, the future is full of uncertainty. To more effectively to handle this uncertainty, we need to be more open and inclusive. Like classic music, Mozart here in Vienna, he say it's powerful because it brings different sounds together and combine them into something greater than the separate parts. Thanks again to join us today. I'm excited to see the future holds for Vienna. We are honored to be here, and we do everything what we can do to support Europe's strategy development goals to over next decades. Together, we can make great things happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philippe Gahn. Thank you for those words, and thank you for hosting this event and having us today. Now, after this opening statement, we will now shift gears.
Absolutely, and I love the statement, also the quote from Peter Drucker, that the best way to look into the future is to create it. Peter Drucker, also one of our Viennese fellows who went into the world. And as we all know, change is automatic, but progress is not. That is like a law of nature.
And when we think back in history, incredible progress has been made through technological advances.
Absolutely, and to be honest, not all of them have been to the benefit of our planet. And as we know today, things have got to change, but they are already changing.
Exactly, that's why the next block is focusing on how we can use technology to make this world a better planet. And I mean, we can't deny we have a climate change and we have to do something about it, and technology can really help.
And that's also why Huawei has been a green pledge on actually developing technology for a greener planet together for humanity.
So that's why we have now our next speaker on stage, which is the General Director of Environment and Circular Economy at the Austrian Ministry of Climate Action, Environment, Energy, Mobility and Innovation and Technology. Please welcome
Christian Holzer.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. First of all, I would like to convey greetings and best wishes for a successful project of the Austrian Minister for Climate Action, Mrs. Leonore Gewessler, who was invited, and now I'm here. I hope that's okay for you. Also, many thanks for providing us this opportunity here today to give a talk on biodiversity in Austria and national parks' involvement in the project. Ladies and gentlemen, biodiversity and ecosystem services are the foundation for life on Earth and essential for people and human well-being. This is very clear and undoubted. Biodiversity loss continues at unprecedented rates at national, European Union and global level. This has significant impacts on our well-being and our economies. We therefore need to significantly strengthen our efforts and accelerate concrete actions to bend the curve of biodiversity loss in order to be able to realize the global biodiversity vision for 2050 of living in harmony with nature. We are currently facing two big crises: biodiversity loss and climate change. These are intrinsically linked, both with regard to causes and drivers with regard to the solutions. Austria is among the most biodiversity-rich countries in Middle Europe. This said, we also must recognize that, as in many other parts of Europe, biodiversity is threatened by many factors. The Austrian government is strongly committed to biodiversity protection. The current program of the Austrian government underlines the importance of biodiversity and also sets out a number of measures for the protection of biodiversity in Austria. Biodiversity is addressed by many of the elements of the European Green Deal. Most importantly, the European Union Biodiversity Strategy 2030, adopted in May 2020, constitutes a centerpiece for biodiversity. Briefly summarizing, the main objectives of the European Union Biodiversity Strategy 2030 are to protect nature and reverse the degradation of ecosystems. The strategy aims to put Europeans' biodiversity on a path to recovery by 2030 and contains specific actions and commitments in this regard. All member states of the European Union have to contribute to achieve these objectives. Two years ago, the Federal Ministry of Climate Action has initiated a national participatory process that brings together all actors and stakeholders concerned with the aim to develop a new national biodiversity strategy, the National Biodiversity Dialogue 2030. From 2019 to 2020, a series of workshops and public consultations have been carried out. A first draft of a new National Biodiversity Strategy 2030 has been presented and discussed in the Commission last July. Our plan is to finalize the deliberations in the National Commission by end this year and present a new biodiversity strategy for Austria beginning next year. The National Biodiversity Strategy 2030 will lead us in protecting, restoring and sustainable managing biodiversity. It will also provide solutions for tackling drivers of biodiversity loss in Austria, ensure synergies with the other relevant national strategies and programs, and contribute to a transformative change. The strategy will also set out our national contributions to the European Union biodiversity objectives for 2030. A new national biodiversity fund is being established to support the implementation of the new biodiversity strategy. 80 million euro are currently allocated for the period 2021 to 2026. To achieve the overall goals, the draft strategy sets out forth a number of specific targets and measures. For example, protection of 30% of national territory, reduction of threatened species and ecosystems by 30%, reduction of the threats to biodiversity and ecosystems, for example, by reducing land fragmentation and soil sealing by 2.5 hectares per day in 2030, reduce the use of pesticides, etc. We acknowledge that new technologies can provide valuable support to the conservation, sustainable use and restoration of biodiversity. For example, remote sensing and use of satellite tracking technologies for generating and analyzing data on species and habitats in research on migration, also due to climate change or also human-wildlife conflicts. This has also been recognized by the Huawei project. As we have experienced during the pandemic, new technologies also help us to connect with each other and thus contribute to exchange of knowledge and strengthen participatory processes. Now turning to the involvement of Austrian national parks in Huawei's project. To date, 29% of the Austrian territory is protected in various categories of protected areas. National parks are the cornerstones of a comprehensive biodiversity conservation system in Austria. A current study shows that the high overall coverage of species and habitats of Austrian national parks within a comparatively small area of 3% of the Austrian territory is the result of complementarity between Pannonian lowland national parks that protect species of open wetland, dry grassland, salt pans and floodplains on the one hand, and alpine national parks harboring species of woodland and mountain habitats on the other hand. With a coverage of 68% of Austrian breeding birds, Neusiedlersee Seewinkel National Park is a hotspot of bird diversity. The reed belt of Lake Neusiedl is the second largest contiguous reed stand in Europe. With this numerous bird species found here, it contributes considerably to the overall diversity of this species group in Austria. Outside the breeding season, the reed belt is also used by many bird species as a feeding habitat and resting area. In this way, the reed belt in the national park also contributes to the preservation of biodiversity in a larger, even Eurasian African context. Much of what goes on in the reeds normally remains hidden, but with technical aids, important additional data on the importance of the reed belt habitat at Lake Neusiedl can be obtained. The Huawei-funded project aims to investigate the difference of different reed beds, including a burn area from 2020, a burn area from 2002, areas that have been unaffected for at least 40 years, and a siltation zone on a bird song activity. The seasonal presence and also density estimates of birds will be collected. The year-round surveys will contribute to measuring the importance of the reed belt of Lake Neusiedl for the biodiversity of birds, amphibians and mammals. Due to the technical support, there are recordings over the several years. But this is not feasible with conventional mapping, but these are still necessary to validate the automatically obtained data. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to conclude by congratulating for these Huawei initiatives in National Park Neusiedlersee Seewinkel. Many thanks go to the project partners, first and foremost Huawei, who are funding the project, the Rainforest Corporation, the University of Vienna, and also the Neusiedlersee Seewinkel National Park, who together are helping to measure the state of knowledge about the reed belt and the long-term effects of climate change on reed-breeding birds. We all know knowledge is key. This said, I also would like to quote a famous writer, Johann Wolfgang Goethe, which I find apt for biodiversity policies. Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do. Thank you very much for your attention.
We will see you in a few minutes again on stage here, because now we're coming to a very exciting project launch. We're going to show you Tech for All, and this project shows how we can really go hand in hand with nature, and technology really can help to help nature, and I think that's a very great thing.
Absolutely, and also it's going to show us how technology can lead the way in helping us to support our planet and to support nature, support our planet. Let's watch. Here we go.
Der Neusiedlersee ist der westlichste Steppensee Eurasiens. Damit ist er auch so eine Art Vorposten für eine ganze Reihe von Tierarten, die in Österreich wirklich nur hier vorkommen, was natürlich auch die naturschutzfachliche Bedeutung dieses sehr sensiblen Ökosystems unterstreicht.
Wir sind ein Hotspot der Artenvielfalt, wir sind von der Vogelwelt her ein Knotenpunkt und unsere existente Biodiversität, die unser Nationalpark aufweist, ist angewiesen auf aktives Hands-on-Management.
From this partnership, Rainforest Connection and Huawei will bring the technology for understanding species presence across the region using sound.
Im Zuge des Forschungsprojekts werden wir 70 von Huawei zur Verfügung gestellte Aufnahmegeräte im Schilf installieren, die automatisch Lautäußerungen von Tierarten, die im Schilfgürtel vorkommen, registrieren.
Bisher haben wir das alles sozusagen persönlich ins Schilf gegangen, dort eben einfach die Daten aufgenommen im Feld selber, und da ist man natürlich eingeschränkt. Es ist ein neues Level, dass man über viele Punkte zugleich monitoren können und zusätzlich, dass wir das auch über das gesamte Jahr machen können.
The way our system works is we're able to visualize the sound in something called a spectrogram. Then we can use our platform to find examples of bird calls and automatically pick them out from all the data. This labeled data can then be used to create artificial intelligence models for automatic understanding of species presence. Sound makes it possible to map out how we're impacting fauna in regions we're seeking to protect in a way not possible with any other type of data.
The biggest advantage is that the voices of the birds and amphibians can be transferred via the mobile network. This will save a lot of time for the scientists and create minimum impact on animals.
Ja, das Besondere ist sicher, dass wir erstmals die Möglichkeit haben, hier zeitlich durchgehende Daten im Schilfgürtel zu erheben. Das geht bei einem Forscher, der rausgeht, nicht. Also das ist sicher ein enormer Mehrwert.
Mit dieser Partnerschaft, auch mit diesem Projekt Tech for All, da erwarten wir uns, dass wir mit Hilfe modernster Technologien, gerade auch im Naturschutzbereich, im Bereich der Biodiversität, hier neue Erkenntnisse erzielen werden, die uns sicherlich auch weiterhin helfen werden, die Region für die Bevölkerung und natürlich auch für das Land und für die Allgemeinheit in dem guten Zustand vor allem auch zu erhalten, in dem sie ist.
Nationalparks haben auch die Aufgabe, sich um eine touristische Erschließung im ökologisch verträglichen Maß natürlich zu kümmern, und das machen wir hier, und das ist ein sehr gutes Beispiel, wie hier Naturschutz und ein Wirtschaftsfaktor, der dann der Naturtourismus ja ist, Hand in Hand gehen.
Collaboration with large established tech organizations like Huawei is absolutely critical for implementing and magnifying any innovative technology, particularly for environmental conservation.
Diese Kooperation ist eine einzigartige Möglichkeit, eine Chance für uns, den Schilfgürtel, über den man wirklich noch relativ wenig weiß, zu erforschen und dadurch auch für seinen Schutz, für seine Weiterentwicklung Instrumente verfügbar zu haben.
So you see, this is a big thing for nature and for us, and I think it's just great that Huawei is doing this big impact, and we just want to launch this project together, and we want to show, put a light on all the participants that were in this project. So please give a warm welcome to our first on stage, Director of the National Park Neusiedler See which we just saw in the video, Johannes Ehrenfeldner.
And also, please welcome on the stage Deputy Governor of the Burgenland. Here is Astrid Eisenkopf.
Of course, we need the technology to do that, and for that we have the Vice President of Huawei CEE Nordic Region, Radoslav Ketsia.
And also, please welcome the General Director of Environment and Circular Energy from the Federal Ministry of Climate Action, Environment, Energy, Mobility, Innovation and Technology from Austria. Please welcome back Christian Holzer.
And the last one on stage is a professor of the Department for Botany and Biodiversity Research of the University of Vienna. Please welcome Christian Schulze.
So I'm going to start here first with Christian Holzer because we want to also hear from your voices as well. Christian Holzer, I'm going to step in the middle here between you. So this is the first time that actually the government and also a technology partner with Huawei here is actually stepping together and creating a project like this. What does that mean also for a region, for a country also to have a strong partner in helping you in this project?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think new technologies can provide valuable solutions for conservation, sustainable use and restoration of nature, and especially companies like Huawei have especially responsibilities to act in a sustainable way in all fields, from energy supply to customer services.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Christian Holzer.
So now I'm asking the Deputy Governor of Burgenland, Astrid Eisenkopf. Hello, wunderschönen guten Morgen. What potential do you see in the digital technologies for the environment to help fight the climate change and the issues that we have, especially in your region?
Good morning. I'm going to switch to German, if this is okay, in the answering of this question. Moderne Technologien sind gerade im Bereich der Digitalisierung auf dem Vormarsch, also da kann man sich auch nicht verschließen. Wir sind im Bereich des Nationalparks, das ist unser größtes Naturschutzgebiet im Burgenland und natürlich auch der wichtigste Partner, wenn es darum geht, Naturschutz, Biodiversität, die Umwelt auch in dem guten Zustand zu erhalten, in dem sie ist. Der Bereich des Klimawandels ist wahrscheinlich die größte Herausforderung weltweit, gerade im Nationalpark, der sehr empfindlich auf verschiedene Witterungsbedingungen ist, sehen wir das ganz besonders. Und man hat es, glaube ich, auch schon im Video sehr eindrucksvoll gesehen. Mit diesen Technologien, die hier zum Einsatz kommen, versprechen wir uns natürlich, dass wir neue Erkenntnisse gewinnen im Bereich der Hydrologie in etwa, also im Bereich der Wasserstände. Das spielt gerade im Bereich des Neusiedlersees eine große Rolle, auch wenn es darum geht, wir sind ja ein Vogelparadies, mittlerweile international bekannt, da auch die Vogelstimmen auch unter verschiedenen Witterungsbedingungen über das ganze Jahr über zu überwachen und natürlich auch der Bereich des Schilfgürtels. Und da werden uns diese digitalen Technologien sicherlich viele neue Erkenntnisse liefern.
Dankeschön. Thank you.
And also, I will follow you. I will follow you over here to come to our next guest here, Christian Schulze. This is a very new project here that we have because you're using sound actually to follow up and to research birds and amphibians. This is a groundbreaking new project that you have developed as the University of Vienna together with Huawei as the technology partner. What does it mean, and also what can you learn from that?
Well, I think you can easily recognize when you're looking on this portrait photographs that there's one guy who's looking a bit different. And that's because I'm actually, let's say, an old-fashioned biologist. So I'm used to go to the field to, let's say, assess biodiversity in the field personally. And as already mentioned briefly in this film, which we already saw, this is something which is extremely time-consuming, and, well, you can't be everywhere at the same time, and unfortunately, many of the species which we can find in the reed belt of Lake Neusiedl, which are producing a sound, have an activity which is species-specific. So we have nocturnal species, we have species which show song performance during the daytime, and to assess this entire range of let's say, acoustic biodiversity is extremely difficult without technology. So therefore, I was extremely happy when Huawei Austria contacted me, giving me this opportunity to utilize this new technology to, let's say, improve the quality of the biodiversity data we will be able to collect in this extremely interesting ecosystem, the reed belt of Lake Neusiedl.
So we're curious, what have you learned out of that?
Well, to be honest, we are still in the process of learning. The project just started, but just by talking to experts from Huawei and also to our collaborators from Rainforest Connection, I already learned that the opportunity or let's say the facts, the new things which we can extract from this newly collected data are extremely diverse. They are beyond just new information which we will be able to get on biodiversity. We also will be able to collect highly interesting data which will improve our knowledge on the biology, on the ecology, and also on the song performance behavior of birds, which also interacts, of course, with our understanding on how biodiversity is affected by the human impact, which of course also plays an important role for large protected areas. They are embedded in a human-dominated landscape, and there's interaction between these protected areas and the surrounding landscapes, affecting the behavior and therefore also the survival of birds.
Wow, that sounds very, very interesting, and all the best, of course, to you for your project.
Thank you very much, and I'm calling to the director of the National Park Neusiedlersee Seewinkel, Johannes Ehrenfeldner. Hello, good morning. So what solution did bring this technology to you? What couldn't you do before this technology?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me also explain in German. Ja, dieses Projekt gibt uns die Möglichkeit, diesen Schilfgürtel, über den wir wirklich noch sehr, sehr wenig wissen, den Vogelzug wirklich ins Detail zu beobachten. Und eigentlich bin ich obsolet hier auf der Bühne, weil schon so viel gesagt wurde von Christian Holzer, von mir selbst, von meinen Kollegen Harald Grabenhofer und Arno Cimmadon. Ja, was haben Sie gesehen in diesem Video? Sie haben gesehen, es ist im Schilfgürtel trocken. Normal vor etlichen Jahren wäre es hier an dieser Stelle, wo die Leiter gestanden ist, wo meine Kollegen diese Technologie aufgebaut haben, wären sie noch bis zum Bauch im Wasser gestanden. es ist trocken. Wir haben mit extrem veränderten Umweltbedingungen zu tun. Der Klimawandel, wenn Sie so wollen, hat voll zugeschlagen, auch am Neusiedlersee. Und wir erhoffen uns durch dieses Projekt, dass, wenn wir all diese Daten quasi händisch sammeln müssten, was schlichtweg erstens personell und zweitens auch finanziell nahezu ein Ding der Unmöglichkeit wäre, Aufschlüsse, wie wir künftig, auch wenn es ein Nationalpark ist, diesen Schilfgürtel, diesen See managen können, um für die Vogelwelt und auch für die Biodiversität optimale Maßnahmen an geeigneter Stelle und vor allem auch zur geeigneten Zeit setzen zu können.
Vielen Dank. Thank you very much.
So also to translate it into English, it means also to actually have a look at the wheat belt around the Neusiedlersee in a way that we have never had it before. And actually those new discoveries are going to help to shape the environment, but also to help the environment to sustain it for a very, very long time. So thank you for that. And also, last but not least, of course, I want to talk with Radoslav Kecia. Hello, welcome. And Huawei is supporting so many projects in the Tech for All umbrella, in the Tech for All project. And why? What is the intention behind it for Huawei? And at the same time, how will this change our future?
You see, we are a very innovative technological company, which is of substantial size as well. And we have developed a lot of innovations ourselves. But those are the tools that can be used, for example, to preserve nature, if used properly. So we are here not only to innovate and support our customers, but also to support local societies through the projects that we create. And I think every effort that we can contribute to the society that we live in and work in, especially in Europe, bring us a great value, because we need to be the part of the ecosystem. And apparently, our ecosystem, our biodiversity, reached a stage where it will not recover by itself. So we need to use our intelligence, our connectivity, our tools that we have to open the possibilities, open the paths, how to use it to assure our sustainable future.
That sounds very, very beautiful. Thank you very much, Radoslav Kecia. And also we will have a panel discussion later on, also on that topic, actually, to see how this can shape the future for a better, greener planet. But now, this is a project launch, and that means it's already on the way, but we formally need to launch it, Julia.
Yes, Tech for All, we want to launch it today, and we want to give it a big bang because I think it's really a beautiful technology to help nature, and I think it would be a good idea if we count down from 10 to 0 because it needs to be big, because this really is a big project, right?
Absolutely. So let's do it.
Let's do it. So from 10 to 0, let's start.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Oh, it's fast.
That's really fast.
Here we go.
The project is launched. Tech for All in Austria.
Yeah, Tech for All. Here we go.
Well, that was kind of fast from 10 to 0.
Yeah, wow. I need to practice that.
Technology.
So thank you. Fantastic. So all the best, of course, also in the future with that project to you, all of you that you're standing here, and of course everybody working on that project. Now we actually have a little time to relax, to network, to eat and drink something. We have a little coffee break, and also if you're joining us online, then also get yourself something to eat, to drink, a little coffee, and we're going to see you back here in a few minutes. All the best.
43动拐式下圈线，往中。
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you had a great break, also with some coffee, with some nice, delicious snacks here from Vienna and also wherever you're joining us online. And we already talked about how we can use technology to create a better planet and a sustainable environment. And now we're going to take this a step further.
Exactly, that's the topic we're still on. Forests cover nearly 1/3 of the world's land surface, but logging, poaching, and unsustainable land use result in the loss of millions of hectares each year. And Huawei is doing something against that.
Exactly. Now we're going to hear from a very fascinating speaker because she's going to tell us how we can protect the environment through sound. And she's doing that already, protecting wildlife in Greece. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is the Director of Internal Expansion of the Rainforest Connection. Please welcome on the screen, here is Chrissy Durkin.
Hi everyone, I'm Chrissy Durkin. I'm the Director of International Expansion at Rainforest Connection, a partner of Huawei Tech for All, and I'm excited to talk to you about the work we're doing together in Greece. I'm sad I don't get to be there with you all in person, but I'm grateful to be able to participate all the way from Austin, Texas. So Rainforest Connection, we are a nonprofit tech startup focused on using acoustic monitoring for conservation. Acoustic data is unique. Almost all species make noise. Insects, mammals, amphibians, birds, reptiles are all talking to each other, sending alert calls, mating calls in different ecosystems around the world. But threats like illegal logging, poaching, and mining also make noise. Acoustics is really just the best way to understand the creatures that inhabit our living planet and also the activities that threaten it on a scale impossible with any other type of data. One of these projects is what was just discussed in the previous talk. In Austria, we're working with Huawei, the University of Vienna, and Lake Neusiedl National Park to conduct occupancy modeling for important bird species in a critical to conserve reed belt. To do this, we're deploying acoustic monitoring devices across the region to pick out sounds of species of interest using our monitoring platform Arbimon to analyze for their presence. But more on how we go about doing that in a bit. So why acoustic monitoring? Around the world, our last remaining intact ecosystems are being destroyed at an alarming rate due to climate change, encroachment, and land degradation. It's critical that we have a means to understand what's happening across these regions, such as in Lake Neusiedl National Park, both in terms of threats and also how the biodiversity is shifting in response. Rainforest Connection has spent the last 7 years building the connective tissue to make acoustics a scalable, worldwide approach for data collection and analysis for conservation management. So our platform, including biodiversity analysis tools, threat detection tools, and a suite of hardware, enables global partners, governments, NGOs, local communities, corporations, scientists, ecologists, to truly understand human impacts on ecosystems and guide conservation management. The way it works is data is streamed to the cloud using real-time monitoring hardware called Guardians, pictured here, or collected using offline devices. We can then analyze it in real time to pick out threats such as illegal logging or poaching and send alerts to rangers on the ground. We also have a platform that has tools to study species of interest. So we're labeling calls of thousands of species and creating these regional artificial intelligence models that make it possible to break down the makeup of ecosystems and understand how they're being altered. We then create actionable recommendations for how we can improve conservation. Rainforest Connection has been working with Huawei Tech for All for 3 years now, utilizing the Huawei Cloud and Model Arts, in addition to Huawei directly supporting 8 projects around the world and the creation of several of these regional artificial intelligence models called convolutional neural networks for biodiversity monitoring. The end goal is really to create this planetary map of biodiversity using acoustics so that everyone anywhere can connect with and protect the natural world. So one of these projects Rainforest Connection is collaborating with Huawei on is in the Aeos Gorge in Greece, working with the National Park Management, the Forest Research Institute of Thessaloniki, and the Balkan Chamois Society. This spectacular gorge and surrounding mountains is one of Greece's most pristine roadless areas, and it's home to rich wildlife, including wolves, brown bears, and the symbol of the Pindus mountain range, the Balkan chamois. there's evidence that hunting within the gorge is on the rise despite its designation as a wildlife game reserve. The national park's finite human and financial resources means that anti-poaching activities are too few and far between to serve as an effective deterrence for committed poachers who typically hunt the chamois when the herds descend from the steep cliffs to graze at the alpine meadows and beech forests. For this reason, the Guardians, the real-time acoustic monitoring devices, have been deployed. These Guardians are recording the soundscape continuously and have been deployed to detect the gunshots of poachers and hunters who target local wildlife, including the endangered Balkan chamois, wolves, and bears. So sensors are deployed high up in the trees where they can't be seen, and they pick out the sounds of potential threats, sending that data across a telecommunications network to the Huawei cloud. Trained to recognize certain sounds such as chainsaws, trucks, and gunshots, artificial intelligence analytics sends an alert to forest rangers if a threat is detected. So rangers can then respond to that threat in near real time. Each Guardian covers an area of about 3 square kilometers, greatly offsetting the cost, inefficiency, and time associated with patrolling these really massive areas of land on foot. So once poachers hear that the area is being monitored, they're less likely to poach in the future and risk arrest. So this network of strategically placed Guardians seeks to serve as a force multiplier for those frontline conservationists, enabling this real-time notification of illegal activities in the gorge. Since there are only a few trails leading in and out of the gorge, the timely warning of poaching incidents is likely to lead to a successful interception and hopefully deterrence of future incidents. So this is a really ideal location to demonstrate the value of a real-time acoustic warning system as a wildlife law enforcement tool in Greece. In addition to poaching incidents, this acoustic grid will provide information on the Eos Gorge soundscape, including all of the animals that call it home. So, as we're undertaking these individual projects with partners, Rainforest Connection is building up a database of the world's species calls. And as we're doing that, we're creating these huge labeled data sets for AI models for biodiversity. We're working on developing these regional convolutional neural networks in which we can automatically map species presence around the world. This will make it possible to holistically understand how we're impacting the Earth's fauna and hopefully make it so that we can make very informed conservation decisions about how to conserve what remains and slow the mass extinction that's currently unfolding. We can't know how to act if we don't even know what's happening. So the first step to action is understanding. The next is transforming that understanding into the best possible suggestions for how to effectively conserve regions. This takes a tremendous amount of technology, collaboration, and communication to pull off effectively. That's why Rainforest Connection is trying to take our technology from just data collection to comprehensive insights and enable it to be used by as many people as possible. We all need access to this information so that we can figure out how to work together to actually make a positive difference. So to create this understanding, we start off with a process called pattern matching, a tool in our RBMON platform in which we can quickly label large data sets for species presence, essentially using a template of a species call and visual analysis in the spectrogram to create these large labeled data sets. Our data science team then transforms this data into regional artificial intelligence models that look like this. We intend to undergo this process in the Eos Gorge as well so that we can understand species presence in much more detail. So in mid-June of this year, we returned to do some maintenance on the 6 Guardian sensors that are currently in the gorge and thus far have been deployed. We were replacing solar panels damaged by strong wind and checking sensors for any issues. Additionally, a software update was installed to boost the remote reboot capabilities of the Guardians in the event of a power failure. Also in June, forest rangers received a training on how to use the alert platform for acoustic monitoring with another session coming up soon. When in the field, Rainforest Connection's lead field agent, Lawrence, actually even heard a pack of wolves near the campsite. So it's exciting to get to start understanding the presence of these many species that call the gorge home by using acoustic data. Right now, more than ever, maintenance tasks, training, and expanding the reach of the sensors are vital because the hunting season started in Greece in the last week of August, a time that is inevitably accompanied by an increase in poaching. We look forward to seeing the positive results of the monitoring system in the coming months. And as I mentioned, beyond threat detection, Rainforest Connection has expanded our mission to really just be this modern, user-friendly interface for exploring, visualizing, and monitoring ecoacoustics to extract insights on species, ecosystems, and illegal activity interventions. We're building this worldwide platform for ecoacoustics, and we're expanding our reach in order to establish projects around the world in places where local communities' land is severely threatened. With Huawei, we've deployed projects in 8 countries and counting. Thank you so much for your time, and please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions or any ideas.
Very, very interesting speech by Chrissy Durkin, but not only forests need to be saved and sustained, also our big blue heart, the oceans and the water. Don't worry, this is for the talk later, just ignore it. Not only the land needs to be safe, but also the water. And this acoustic technology that we just saw, it's not only used on land, but also underwater. And this is a huge step in the preservation of the nature. But how is this used? We have a video for you for Tech for All in Ireland, where they use this technology underwater.
Ireland is home to 25 different species of cetaceans, which are whales, dolphins and porpoises. We aim to be the first to record these animals in real time and to train machine learning models how to identify different species calls.
Together we built this buoy, we designed it especially for the project. We've probably about 6 weeks work put into this. The whole lot can be ruined in 20 seconds here if we don't do it properly. If we rush this part of it, we might as well come back and start rebuilding it again.
We're continually scanning the water surface and we're looking for, splashes, maybe dolphins jumping. They pop up and they're gone so quickly, so they're tough to detect. There we go! Whee! 50 meters, 90 degrees. We can only see so much when we monitor above the surface of the water, but with this acoustics project, we'll be able to listen in real time in times when the weather is bad, when we can't get out to sea. This provides us with an opportunity to learn about them even in winter time. So this project really is unlocking a whole new world of wildlife monitoring, and ultimately it will be able to contribute to the conservation of these animals. They rely heavily on sound for their survival. That involves communication, navigation, hunting prey, avoiding predators and finding their mates. So we really need to understand the impact of noise pollution on these animals.
Gathering audio data anywhere in the world has always been thought of as a difficult task. It's one thing to put up a recorder in a forest, another thing to put it up in a desert. It's a whole other thing to put it up underwater. We want to make the whole transition from gathering that to knowing what you're listening to analyzing it, both in real time and years back. We want to make that easy for people because it's only then that they can ask the difficult questions and they can answer them themselves.
We've determined that this particular area has the best chance of actually recording cetaceans, but particularly baleen whales, the larger whales, in real time. This project wouldn't be possible without the partnership with Huawei and Rainforest Connection. We're so grateful that they chose Ireland as a test case for this technology.
We'll prepare it on the boat, last preparations, last shackles, weld them all up, and then slowly lift everything off in stage. Everything will be done incrementally and slowly and under control and safely.
Traditionally, methods used would involve deploying a hydrophone and recovering it 6 months later and then having all that data to process. But now we can stream the data directly to Huawei's cloud, which is amazing. We can analyse it automatically and we can get results that can have a huge impact on the conservation of these animals. It's amazing, it's a dream come true.
know how you feel, but I feel a lot of hope when I see this kind of technologies used to really help the nature and fight the climate change. And there will also be an Innovation Day in Ireland on the 25th of November. Follow up all the social media accounts of Huawei for more information on that. And now we're going to hear another speech about how important it is to fight the climate change and to use technology to help nature by the member of the European Parliament. Welcome, Lukas Mandl on video.
Innovation is the key ingredient for a better world. It helps us to find more sustainable solutions in various areas of our daily lives, but also brings about the change at a bigger scale for our societies as a whole. When we think about digitalization, we face major challenges. We need to expand ICT infrastructures, defend ourselves against cyber attacks and disinformation campaigns, and educate all our citizens so that they are able to make use of the ICT opportunities at hand. In this regard, I would like to mention some countries that are of particular importance to us when we talk about innovation. According to figures of the OECD, Israel currently spends almost 5% of its GDP on research and innovation. South Korea follows with 4.6%. They are role models that should lead the way for others. Austria, with its 3.1%, is still above the OECD average of 2.5%, but still there is room for improvement to catch up with the top performers in the world. Furthermore, I want to highlight international cooperation as a key factor in the field of innovation. We need to bring together the best ideas from the public and private sector. Academic institutions, companies and state authorities all play an important role and need to work closely together, all across borders. This needs to be a cooperation of trust, which means that all involved actors have to respect each other and play by the rules. Even more than that, for worthy joint achievements, all involved entities have to provide transparency. This provides confidence and leads to a good mutual understanding. Due to digitalization, the world has become a village. Here we need to support each other. And when it comes to the exchange of goods and services, we have to take care of level playing fields and reciprocity. We must meet the challenges in terms of security and do our utmost to use all opportunities for this generation and the ones to come.
There was Lukas Mandl, and now we're coming to our first panel discussion about the Tech for All project and how we can use technology to help nature. And now we will switch in German, but you will get a translation in English. So no worries if you didn't learn German today, it's okay. Wechseln, Hirn umschalten. Jetzt kommen wir zu unserer ersten Diskussion und wir reden darüber, über das Projekt Tech for All und wie diese Technologie helfen kann beim Klimawandel und die Natur auch besser zu verstehen. Und wir haben die Teilnehmerinnen und Teilnehmer ja schon kennengelernt auf der Bühne, aber sie kommen nochmal drauf. Deswegen bitte trotzdem ein großer Applaus für die Landeshauptmann-Stellvertreterin des Burgenlands, Astrid Eisenkopf. Platz nehmen. Wir kommen zum Abteilungsleiter der Forschung vom Nationalpark Neusiedlersee Seewinkel, Harald Grabenhofer. Danke fürs Kommen. Bitte Platz nehmen. Natürlich brauchen wir die Technologie dazu und dafür haben wir auf der Bühne den Vizepräsidenten von Huawei Österreich, Erich Manzer. Hier Platz nehmen, vielen Dank. Und wir haben ihn auch schon auf der Bühne gesehen, den Professor für Botanik und Biodiversitätsforschung der Uni Wien. Herzlich willkommen, Christian H. Schulze. Bitte Platz nehmen, vielen Dank fürs Kommen und ich freue mich schon sehr auf diese Diskussion, weil ich glaube, wir alle sind natürlich vom Klimawandel betroffen und wir alle wollen etwas tun. Und ich finde es großartig, dass Technologie nicht nur verwendet wird, um zu telefonieren und Instagram-Fotos zu posten, sondern auch wirklich etwas zu verändern. Frau Eisenkopf, wir kommen zu Ihnen zuerst. Welche Vorteile hat denn dieses neue Projekt für den Neusiedlersee, aber auch für den Tourismus?
Wir haben gerade in den letzten Jahren von Seiten des Nationalparks immer wieder versucht, neue Partnerschaften auch zu schließen. Und dieses Projekt mit Huawei ist natürlich eines der wichtigsten jetzt in den vergangenen Jahren, einen so starken Partner auch hier gewinnen zu können, um mit modernsten Technologien im Bereich des Naturschutzes voranzukommen, ist natürlich schon etwas Besonderes für uns. Die Region profitiert natürlich enorm durch den Nationalpark, keine Frage. Da gibt es auf der einen Seite sicherlich den Naturschutzaspekt, den Umweltschutzaspekt, der uns besonders wichtig ist. Im Burgenland steht ja in etwa fast 40% der Fläche in irgendeiner Art und Weise unter Naturschutz. Das heißt, es ist etwas, womit wir uns sehr stark identifizieren und die Bevölkerung rund um den Neusiedlersee und rund um den Nationalpark identifiziert sich natürlich auch mit diesem Nationalpark sehr stark. Also das ist schon ein Wahrzeichen des Burgenlands. Also da geht es aus vielen Gründen darum, dieses Juwel auch zu erhalten, aufrechtzuerhalten, zu schützen. Und der Bereich des Tourismus, den Sie auch angesprochen haben, ist dann natürlich, der spielt eine große Rolle in dem Bereich. Wir haben uns vor vielen Jahren schon dazu entschieden, sanften Tourismus, vor allem im Burgenland und rund um diese sensiblen Regionen anzubieten und möglich zu machen. Das ist auch wichtig, damit man dann nicht irgendwo in Konflikte hineinkommt. Sanfter Tourismus. Sanfter Tourismus, also wir wollen keinen Massentourismus jetzt in dem Sinn, wie man ihn vielleicht aus anderen Regionen kennt, weil die Region eben eine sehr sensible ist. Dieser Naturraum ist irrsinnig sensibel, reagiert auf alle Bearbeitungen auch des Menschen. Und wenn man dazu viel zulassen würde, wäre das, glaube ich, kontraproduktiv in vielerlei Hinsicht, weil es gäbe dann nichts mehr, was man touristisch besuchen könnte. Und aus Sicht des Naturschutzes und der Biodiversität, glaube ich, brauchen wir gar nicht darüber zu diskutieren, dass man einen Massentourismus in einer großen oder im großen Spektrum hier nicht möchte. Das heißt, dieser sanfte Tourismus ist etwas, das wir uns schon in den letzten Jahren wirklich auch zum Ziel gesetzt haben. Aber die Region und die Menschen rund um den Neusiedlersee und um den Nationalpark profitieren natürlich enorm von genau diesem sanften Tourismus auch. Es gibt viele, die ihre komplette Existenz darauf aufgebaut haben. Das heißt, auch dieser Bereich ist etwas, das uns natürlich ein besonderes Anliegen ist, das auch entsprechend aufrechtzuerhalten. Also wir versuchen hier immer Ökonomie und Ökologie unter einen Hut zu bekommen. Das ist auch dieses nicht unter einen Glassturz stellen einer bestimmten Region. Das ist auch etwas, das in unserem Landesentwicklungsplan vorkommt. Also dieses Motto Schützen durch Nützen ist auch etwas, das wir uns im Burgenland auf die Fahnen geheftet haben. Das heißt, wir sind uns sehr bewusst dieser Verantwortung, die wir haben, diesen sensiblen Regionen gegenüber, wollen uns aber natürlich auch Entwicklungen nicht verschließen, aber in so einem Ausmaß, in dem es verträglich ist.
Welche Vorteile und Veränderungen erwünschen Sie sich
advantages and changes do you want to achieve through this cooperation with new technology? It is always important to cooperate with such international players and to also get the know-how. This is something that we cannot have the national park, because we have a staff of about 40 Hannes, I believe. So we get incredible know-how through this project and partnership, and this of course is also the purpose of this partnership. Especially modern technologies are key in fighting climate change. They will certainly be of greatest importance for conservation, but especially digitalization is something that we cannot stop. This is also good. However, we need to use this these new projects, as we've heard from many films and speeches, recording the birds and all that was not possible otherwise. It would not have been possible to survey everything, even though we did it all the same. But partly, of course, manually, and that required a lot of work. Of course, it's much more efficient and more purposeful if we use modern technologies. We expect new understandings and new findings, which are not possible otherwise.
nur verteufeln. Natürlich hat sie auch ihre Schattenseiten, aber man kann sie für sehr, sehr Gutes auch nutzen, wie man auch hier sieht. Wie es den Neusiedler See wirklich geht, das weiß einer Harald Grabenhofer. Und wir kennen uns schon, wir haben den Morgen zusammen verbracht, aber nicht vielleicht so, wie Sie jetzt denken, sondern bei Kaffeepuls in der Früh. Da habe ich nämlich vom Neusiedler See live berichtet.
At Cafe Pools, where I had a live report, because Lake Neusiedler is beautiful, especially in mornings when there's no one there. Well, maybe I'll come back with a TV team. So Lake Neusiedler is incredibly beautiful, but we also have great problems. And what are these issues that you're fighting right now? The national park, of course, has special challenges. In addition to the major global challenges such as climate change, biodiversity crisis, etc., we also have our local challenges, to be specific, where we have direct interventions by man, the loss of groundwater levels, or also we have the constantly changes in the habitat. In years like this one, it could be completely dry, but in 5 years, it might be flooded. So there's always an up and down. So we need to understand these processes and then also understand what these processes mean for the protected areas apart from the habitats, that is, the organisms living there, what it means for them. And here, Huawei technology gives us the chance to generate data that we could not generate otherwise, the effects of these changes and also the disturbances, and that might then also get us to make conclusions for our management, whether it is necessary to interfere and in what style and in what intensity. Now, what would that be? We now have the data, but what can we do with these data? Personally, we do not do so much with the data. It has all just started. But at Vienna University, we will then also evaluate the data and then draw the conclusions for our management, and we will see what will happen. Of course, in the wheat belt, we keep having disorders time and again. In the past, it was used, the wheat was cut. But then in recent decades, we had some major fires. And in this current project, we now want to explore what that might mean to mammals and the flora and how they then are distributed, and then also make conclusions for future management. Now, as for technology, it is very important, Erich Manzer. Huawei is known for smartphones, but why is Huawei supporting such projects, and why do we go into nature and try to use these projects for that? First, I'm very happy that we got this project for Austria, because we had several candidates, and together we then succeeded in managing that for Austria and getting it for Austria. Secondly, technology, and of course we're very well known from smartphones, but we only started technology with networks, so we're very much familiar with how networks operate and how they can offer connectivity, and then you can also implement such projects. This, however, is just a small area that we cover, that is tech for all, because that covers several areas, starting with education, which is very important for us, because we also have several projects running in Austria, and we come back to that project later on today, and then health. And in Austria, we also have projects where, for instance, we used robots in hospitals, and then another point, which it might not be that important for Austria, but maybe for other countries that are not that developed, that is the rural area. Developments in rural areas, we need to establish connections so that everyone has access to the internet, which in the future will certainly be a major challenge. And one of the last points that affects us today is the environment. As we could very clearly see in the videos, meanwhile, we already have 18 countries where we had such projects where this technology is used, and I'm quite sure that further countries are to follow. I'm looking forward to the analysis and to the evaluations, and I hope that we can then contribute towards upkeeping this reed belt. One thing was to see the product, because first you have the idea and then the trial and error. Now, how long did it take you from the idea to, okay, it's working, now we can really use it? You need to remember that these things work like smartphones. We do have smartphones that have their own power supply with solar panels, for instance. And technology-wise, all this was not that elaborate. The idea itself, implementation, development, all of this was done together with RFC, Rainforest Connection, because it was with them that we first got it running. And what is very important is the software, analysis software. We can upload the data, and then we can also then manage the data in the database, because it's only with this software, because we first need to train it so that it knows what birds are what birds, and only then can we make statements that also have a value for all. And now I'm coming to Mr. Schulze. How does things work? So the system absorbs the noises, and what happens then? How can you classify them? Basically, artificial intelligence, and we have already seen this in a video, tries to analyze the sonograms that visualize the noises made by animals in graphs where you see the frequency range, and this range then is displayed over the time axis, and we could see that there are certain patterns behind that. So if a bird sings a certain tune, then others will sing other different tunes. But identifying these patterns is quite tricky, but the software manages it quite well. But however, we first need to train the software of what patterns matches what species. And then people from classical disciplines like me, no technologists, but zoologists in my case, come in, and this technology is very important for us. However, I also want to tell you as a very important message that technology is not everything. We still need people who know about these organisms, because technology first needs to learn from the experts what pattern matches what species. Here, I want to tell you that us, the classic biologists and zoologists concerned with organisms producing noises, unfortunately, are a bit of an extinguished species. But a very important group of scientists who, and this is increasingly important, who depend on these innovative technologies, because they, of course, then are able to grasp biodiversity. And this always is a problem of classic biologists such as me. We need to go out, and in this case, also then need to prove that we have animals at a certain point, but other than plants, different plants, animals are mobile, so they're not always in one place. And if you cannot prove that a species is in a certain location at a certain time, it does not mean that they don't use the habitat anymore. We just couldn't place them. They did not make any sounds, etc. And that is the big advantage of this new technology, because you can have constant recordings, and as such, display the use of habitats by organisms. And this is not something that you can do if you need to go there yourself and just stand at a certain point for 5 minutes.
Of course, you can also collect data, but the quality will not be as high as we can see with this new and innovative approach by Huawei. What do you expect from this monitoring? Do you expect that you will hear new species? Or what is your expectation? Well, basically, I do expect to play a pioneering role, because when we look at what happens in our society, man monitors everything: traffic, climate development, the increase in the population, the education of our children, etc., the number of steps we take and everything. So all of this is being monitored. But one very important component in our environment, biodiversity, in terms of monitoring, still is lagging massively behind. And this approach, of course, is very promising and allows us to then develop a concept, because what isn't decisive is that it has many components, and biodiversity is then defined by the number of species we find, but also what species that is. So the diversity of these species is very important, and that, of course, is subject to a certain dynamism. We also see natural changes, and if you here split into what is human influences leading to the change in biodiversity and what is natural dynamism, requires long-term data with a high resolution. And these are the concepts that happen automatically, because otherwise the concept of manpower would not be possible. Very important thing, and therefore I would be very happy if we would not just implement the project at Neusiedlersee, but also do a bit of a pioneering role with such concepts at other locations in Austria, so that we could create a kind of network, which of course would be a great vision.
Und ich lade Sie jetzt auch gerne ein, dass jeder so seinen Senf dazu gibt.
Because I just invite everybody to join. You have talked about that already. And my question is, what can technology do, what man cannot do? Who wants to answer? Well, maybe I start. Well, especially in that case, well, it is that the number of data which are recorded cannot be analyzed by man. This is just a variety of data. It's 24 hours, 7 days a week, and to analyze all these data is not possible. You have to listen to it all the time. And as the software is trained and can start this analysis, you can do this only with the software, which then brings us good results, which can be analyzed then. This would not be done, could not be done manually. I think even you have to think about the step before, what technology is able to do. That is to collect all this data. If we have these 60, 70 automatic recording devices, yes, theoretically a person could do this, but nobody wants to stand 24 hours a day in the read and just record all this data. This can be only done by technology, and that's what I wanted to say before. We have performed a lot of analysis about reed belt, about the development of the reed belt, together with the biodiversity, but it takes a lot of time, and it will be never as precisely as it is possible with technical devices. But if you have this data, once you have collected them, and I'm sure it will work very well, and then man, of course, can start again. This is something man can do, just to make the right conclusions and take the right decisions based on this data, so that you get all the screws which you can move them and find out the different effects of these measures. So which screw do I have to turn in order to get which result, and how big is the influence when I change that or that. So these decisions and to take the appropriate measures is a human task, but you need specialists in any way, specialists who need science. Yes, specialists are always very important, because we have to know, of course, well, we have new technologies which we use, but they are not showing the complete biodiversity we have in the reed. The technology is just showing organisms which produce noise. There are other organisms in the reed who are very significant also in a biological way. This might be snails or fleas or other insects. These are very important species, but they do not produce sound. So we need the specialists to go there to collect these animals and determine them with their expertise. But what we are doing now, the monitoring of birds, this is a very important technology. It's a very charismatic group of animals. Birds are very important for tourism. This bird watcher tourism is a very important income for this area, but birds, of course, are animals which are quite high in the nutrition chain. So when birds die out and get rare, then there is a certain regress also of organisms on the lower level. For example, insects which are eaten by birds, and that's why birds are very important indicators for the condition of our surrounding. And so this long-term monitoring is very important to find out if something is moving in the wrong direction, if we have to interfere with appropriate measures. And this project is great, and I really would like to emphasize again, because of the cooperation. We have now knowledge from technology, we have experiences from academical institutions, but we are cooperating with the National Park Neusiedlerpark Seewinkel, and there we have specialists of nature preservation, and this is very good. When I'm as an academic, I make certain conclusions, but the national park then tells me that these conclusions cannot be applied in everyday life because they have this experience. So this cooperation, Huawei, technology, knowledge, University of Wien, the academical experience, and then the practical side with the managers of the national park. And so I think it's a great situation, and I expect here a very good result. You also mentioned that many players have to interfere on one side. You need the province, you need the government, then you need enterprises, and then you need the specialists who know this surrounding. How long did it take to start this cooperation? How can we use that cooperation also for other countries, for other provinces? Is this done? To show them, just to demonstrate it. We should show that it is possible, that we can do it. That's always the best, because you have prejudices if you do not know something or if you start a new project. And then the best thing is you just show it is possible. Of course, there might be the danger when you are the first that something is not working as you thought it will work, but this is a learning process. And we understand ourselves as a region in the Burgenland who wants to be a pioneer. Well, also as far as the pandemic is concerned, we are a very special region. And as Hannes Ehrenfelder, when he presented this project, we were enthusiastic. And I think the preparation work took longer than realizing it on the political level, because we are always only invited for deciding. And our decision was a very easy one. Of course, we saw this as a very big chance. And it's always important to be a good example, to show that certain things are possible, even things which you did not consider to be realistic at the beginning, but a lot is possible. How does Huawei decide which regions are used for biological projects? Well, the decisions are made in a special commission together with the Rainforest Connection, and there are different applicants. And as I said at the beginning, there were several projects were presented, and we were very happy that we found such a great project in Austria. And when we presented it, it was quite clear that we will concentrate on Austria. And finally, in Austria, the decision was made very clearly. It was a very simple decision. I wouldn't say that it took a long time or it was a very complex decision. I think everybody was enthusiastic for that project from the very beginning. And for somebody who is doing project management, it would have been a too simple task. But I'm very glad that we just started the project. There should be a lot of projects like that. The question is, what about the costs of a project like that? Can you do some cost estimation in order to do this in other regions, maybe all over the world? Well, we have different regions where we are supporting. One of the projects is to cooperate with the Rainforest Corporation, and we just select one project every year, which we support, especially in Austria. It will be a project which will last for a certain time in order to get enough knowledge, but normally we are concentrating only on one project per year, and the costs, yes, we try to estimate what is the relation between the costs and the usefulness. We also did it with that project because not all the recording devices are collecting online data, but some of the recording devices are structures like that, so that you just take the data locally and the recording device is continuing to work. So you have to collect the data at the device. And so that's why we are still within the framework of our budget. But of course, it is important to use that devices all over the world because climate change is continuing. It's not enough to have one project per year. Maybe the target is to have 100 projects per year. Is that realistic? Well, that is something which is concerning everybody, and this pioneer project should be one of the examples, and other companies can see that they can contribute, that technology is giving an added value, and more projects could be performed. We have other territories, other areas where we also want to increase energy efficiency, for example. In our equipment, there are targets which we define ourselves. We want to become more efficient. This is a very important factor where we can also contribute to decrease this global warming, or at least limit it. Well, probably we cannot stop it, but we can limit it. We must become more efficient, and renewable energy is an important subject, especially in photovoltaics. We are working, and we are also supporting and offering our development. And it would be easier if many big players in the technology are cooperating. Then sometimes you hear from big companies that they have some other problems. Maybe don't you think that it's much more important that these companies work together for environment's sake? Yes, I would welcome that. I want it, but I think for Austria, when I see that there are also other companies who want to participate in these projects, we can organize an exchange of experience. Of course, we welcome them to work together with us in that project. This could be a certain attitude, so companies could see that they can contribute in a positive way for our ecology. Well, I think, participation of other companies would be possible. While we were talking about monitoring, energy efficiency, how can this technology really support to stop climate change? How do you see this? Because for the time being, it's a technology to monitor, to see which species are existing. How can we use that technology in order to take measures against climate change? Well, it's a kind of brainstorming. Well, I'm the only non-scientist among you. Well, what I mentioned before, this just collecting data and taking decisions because of these collected data so that you really can see what is influencing and to which extent. Where do I have to make a decisions? Where do I have to start in order to take sensible steps? Well, I don't think it's only this project. This project is only the first step. You always have to see the general picture, but from a political point of view, it is important to have solid basic data, because very often we are approached by people saying we have to do that or we have to do that, but very often nobody can tell you the effect of a certain measure. How much CO2 can I really save by doing that? How many species can I save when I use that or that measure or taking this or that decision? So this targetedness, of course, and this space in order to say, if I do that, this will happen. Well, from my side, well, it has been presented already that Huawei is trying a lot of solutions, to find a lot of solutions, but I think in Austria, we can contribute to stop climate change, but with our project, which is such a locally limited project, I think we cannot do a lot. But with our data, and this is quite important, we can show the changes and document the changes of a habitat of a population in the reed belt. And then we can say, what are the factors which changed that habitat? What is the contribution of climate change? What are other factors? So this is an important reason, because when you have a local project and you take certain management measures, for example, the national park, which will improve the situation for birds in the reed belt, then you have to know what are the negative effects. Are these local problems, or are these general climate change problems? And of course we have interactions, but I hope we will get that new knowledge, and so it makes it easier to understand the effect of climate change on our biodiversity. In a narrow area like this, we cannot do anything to fight climate change. I think this should be emphasized, but just the knowledge, what is the influence of climate change on biodiversity? Well, I think this is a very important area where you do not have these clear solutions. Well, local, it's difficult to do something on a local level, but on a global level, we have defined our targets in the year 2016 in order to reduce our CO2 emissions by 30%, and we want to reduce the CO2 emissions until 2030. We are investing in renewable energy, and we try to have also renewable energy in our factories in China. And we want to reduce these detrimental emissions by another 16%. And the equipment which we make available to our operators and also the smartphones, should be more efficient by 2.9%. And this will, of course, be a contribution to get more energy for the same price. So the 5G technology compared to 4G, it means 30 times more transportation, but it takes only 1/10 of the current per bit, which was necessary for 4G. And this is a real innovation. Here you can really show that you are working and saving energy and have less energy for more data. Well, let's return to this difficult question, what can we do for climate change in that concrete project? Well, I think it's an indirect connection, because when we say good ecological systems and the research of these systems and just the knowledge to keep an ecological system in a good condition, and because we want to keep the ecological systems as they are, and then I think this is a positive effect for climate change. Well, fighting climate change. I think you could also interpret in that way, and here I think there is the connection where climate change cannot be seen separated from other crises and from the areas where we live. What is interesting for me, this technology, is that disturbing birds? Are they disturbed? So far, it's only disturbing our water buffaloes. Maybe it's not disturbing them. They want to touch the devices or the pillars on which they are erected. They use them to scratch their backs. So birds do not feel disturbed, they are not confused, so this technology can be used without any doubts, and it is an advantage. I would see it the other way around. Well, I think, and this is also an important criteria why the belt, the reed belt is so good for the project, because accessibility is difficult, and an automated recording of biodiversity makes sense. And on this other side, it's a very sensitive ecological system. So, well, we should, of course, minimize disturbing biodiversity, and you do this with this automatic recording devices, and you do not need lots of biologists in that reed belt, despite the fact that biological specialists would like to do it, but they should go on doing that, because the signals we get from the devices, and they are, of course, showing certain species, but there are people behind that. There should be people who know these animals, who know their behavior, because this is very important for the interpretation of this data, even when they are collected by the new technology. So these biologists are, of course, still required. So you are doing advertisement, of course, for your university. We are already doing our conclusions. If somebody wants to say a few concluding words, well, we have said a lot about this project. Of course, I would like to use the opportunity to thank Huawei, because we are very happy that this project was established, and we are looking forward to the results. And one enterprise, of course, will not change climate change, but it is important that important enterprises, good technology, give a good example, and it would be good if this becomes normal behavior, that every enterprise is being committed in the area of climate change and environmental protection. Thanks for this great chance we have now in the Burgenland. Is there anything to say from your side? Well, it's a small step, but a very important step, and I'm really looking forward to the results. Well, I also hope that for the Burgenland, for the national park, we can do something, and I'm really interested in the results. So, Harald, Astrid Eisenkopf, Harald Grabenkopf, Erich Manzer, Christian Schulze, thanks a lot for being on the stage, and I hope you will get a lot of data which make you happy. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
So,
well, to that direction.
English with my co-host, Ronny Leber.
Thank you very much, Julia. Amazing panel discussion. In the meantime, also, we are rebuilding the stage again for our next speakers. Let's just give them a second, but this is all very fast. Here we go.
Oh, we can do, yeah, we can help too.
You want to sit?
Yeah. So.
All right. Here we go. That goes very fast here. So we heard a lot about technology and how technology actually is affecting us for a better planet, to build a more sustainable planet, to create the planet that we live in and make it better. Now we're going to have a look at the people behind it, the innovators, those who make things happen. And Thomas Alva Edison, one of the most famous innovators, once said, "There's a way to do it better. Find it." And now we're going to look at 3 people who really found ways to make things better and to create a more sustainable, a better future for us. And those 3 very different innovators, one of them is going to be talking about the 5G innovations of the year. Then another one is going to be talking about Europe's largest smart railway logistics terminal. And now
we'll have a look on how the information and communications technology has changed agriculture forever. Please welcome the Chief Operating Officer of Drone Tech by Immotech Austria, Felix Müller.
Thank you. Hello, dear ladies and gentlemen here at the Kursalon and also the viewers online. First of all, let me say that we are very thankful to be able to present our project in such a, let me say, adequate location. You don't have that every day. I will try to provide a glimpse, like hands-on perspective on how technology in general, or in this case 5G and smart farming, can aid agriculture. Agriculture, as you can imagine, is a very traditional, very conservative branch when it comes to adapting new ways of working. But also, it provides huge opportunity when it comes to climate change, when it comes down to reducing the use of fertilizers, of pesticides, etc. So in this project, we chose wine and asparagus to display this kind of use cases. Of course, as Austrians, we chose wine. But yeah, why listen to me if you can listen to me in a video?
5G and its unique characteristics can advance production or efficiency not only in cities but also in rural areas. Especially in agriculture, the use of smart technology can support farmers and help with sustainable cultivation and the reduction of resources needed.
Smart Farming ist ein ganz wichtiges Thema für die österreichische Landwirtschaft. Wenn wir dort wettbewerbsfähig sein wollen, brauchen wir Smart Farming. Und hier hat es eine besondere Möglichkeit gegeben, durch die Kooperation von Huawei und Drontech hier den Einsatz von Drohnen im Zusammenhang mit künstlicher Intelligenz in der Landwirtschaft, im Speziellen im Weinbau und im Spargelbau zu machen.
Also in der heutigen Zeit sind wir in der Landwirtschaft mit einigen Herausforderungen betraut, nämlich es geht hauptsächlich darum, dass die Landwirtschaft eine sehr arbeitsintensive Branche ist. Das heißt, wir brauchen auch viele Mitarbeiter und wir haben natürlich auch nur gewisse Ressourcen, die wir verwenden können. Wir müssen uns ja auch noch um viele andere Dinge kümmern. Und da haben wir jetzt mit den Drohnen zum Beispiel gerade die Erfahrung gemacht, dass wir sehr viel Zeit hier sparen können.
Das Besondere an den Smart Farming Drohnen ist in diesem Fall nicht die Drohne selbst, sondern die verwendete Sensorik. Wir verwenden hochauflösende RGB-Sensorik, mit der wir zum Beispiel den Gesamtzustand des Feldes, Löcher in der Bepflanzung oder einen sogenannten Green Leaf Index erstellen. Außerdem verwenden wir einen hochauflösenden Multispektralsensor, mit dem wir einen sogenannten Normalized Differenced Vegetation Index erstellen, welcher Rückschlüsse darauf zulässt, wie gesund eine Pflanze ist.
Mit diesem Projekt möchten wir die Grundlage für eine Full-Service-Drohne in der Landwirtschaft legen. Wir möchten, dass die Drohne und ihre Sensorik den Landwirt nicht nur mit einem Livestream von seinen Feldern versorgen, sondern dass sie ihn auch in der Auswertung der Daten unterstützt.
Das Smarte am Smart Farming Projekt in diesem Fall ist der Einsatz von einem 5G CPI-Modul von Huawei, mit dem wir die Daten nahezu in Echtzeit, vor allem hochauflösende Daten, live übertragen können.
5G wurde entwickelt für 3 wesentliche Dinge. Erstens für extrem hohe Bandbreite, zweitens für geringe Latenzzeiten und drittens, um Millionen von Devices zu verbinden. In dem speziellen Fall für Smart Farming fokussieren wir uns auf extrem hohe Bandbreite und übertragen die Bilder in Echtzeit direkt an den Server, um sie dann in Real-Time zu analysieren.
5G ist eine Infrastrukturtechnologie. Erst in Kombination mit den Anwendungen entfaltet sie ihren Nutzen. Wir reden hier von Internet of Things, das heißt, dass viele Geräte miteinander verbunden sind, dass sehr viele Daten verfügbar sind. Das bedeutet, dass ich einen geringeren Ressourceneinsatz habe, dadurch weniger Verschwendung und dass wir insgesamt nachhaltiger agieren können und damit die Zukunft auch gelassen entgegensehen können.
With the advance of 5G in Austria, the wide range of opportunities and possibilities will further increase. Huawei Austria is setting a first milestone with this smart farming project. Together with local collaborations, Austria is getting ready for a great future.
Thank you. So you have a little overall look. I'm going to be a little more into detail, but no worries, there is a countdown, so I'm trying to get it short. First of all, why do we need 5G for agriculture? Probably a question that pops up not only with the farmer, but also with you if you don't have like a lot of experience with technology and agriculture. We have huge data sets. The data we are collecting is about 70 gigabyte for 10 acres for multispectral analysis alone, not covering very high resolution RGB footage, which we are also using for green leaf indexes, etc. The in-air processing, in future we will look to process the data via microcomputing units on the drone, and the results shall be transmitted, which are also a lot of data. Remote processing, maybe you want to transfer high resolution imagery or some sort of data to, I don't know, Dubai, South Africa, and you want to process it there. So everything of those points will require a lot of data that can be transmitted in a short time. And of course, future multi-drone operations or operations with the operator not being present on site. By law, I'm legally required to be able to intervene at any second when it comes to drones. So how am I gonna do that if I don't have like a remote control nearby? Of course, via the internet. What were the challenges? Coverage. Although we have sites that really have good 5G coverage, we have it on the ground because internet or mobile internet is designed for the user, which is on the ground. In the flight altitude of 40 meters above ground or 60 meters, it's a whole different story, as we have seen in the project. But with the advance of 5G and telecommunications technology in general, we are sure to get this problem covered. Finding the right time slots, of course, I'm not going too much into detail. And asparagus, if you don't know asparagus, which a lot of people don't, doesn't have leaves in a traditional sense. It's also only this like leaf-like, very thin green structures, kind of like with carrots or dill. The botanists will intervene if I'm saying something wrong. What are the opportunities? A broadband strategy for Austria for the year 2030 is really enforcing to have a better coverage, advance of 5G, to be able to use this technology on a broad spectrum, not only in cities, but especially in rural areas, which will be a huge benefit for agriculture. And also to fulfill the Agenda 2030 by the use of drones and the collected data, we really hope to further reduce the use of, as I said, fertilizers and pesticides. Results. What results did we get in the project? I'm telling you now, the project is not really finished, so it's a kind of an early stage presentation, but we did see, and you will see, we have good data for significant differences in vitality for different fields that were under different amount of stress. Beforehand knowledge, which will be the key advantage, because if you can set like any kind of action, the more early, the better. And quantification, of course, when it gets to agriculture, we're speaking about huge areas. To cover those huge areas, we also will rely on quantification. I presented a few results, so you can imagine what it looks like when we're talking about multispectral imagery. At the right, we have wine, in this case, Uhudla, which is a very robust sort of wine, so everything's green there. What is very interesting is the asparagus, because this region was harvested under foil, so the plants did get a lot of stress, and it was expected by the farmer that the results there won't be that big compared to this area where also asparagus was harvested, but in a normal way. You can also, if you're not like a multispectral expert, tell a huge difference in these areas. Especially, that's the wine again, but the countdown is almost finished. Especially when it comes to asparagus, the plant is growing 3 years before you can harvest it the first time. So, best case scenario, and we did actually capture data about freshly planted asparagus. Best case scenario, in the first year, you will see decreasing vitality in the field or in some regions, and you can set actions in the first year. You will profit in the third and fourth and fifth and sixth year, I guarantee it. I have to hurry up a little bit, I think. Of course, also we can apply some zonation with this data, which will tell you exactly how much acres of my overall field is yellow, green, red, as many classes as you want to have. And as a farmer, you will get a good overall perspective on what's the vitality of your fields, what will the harvest amount, what will the output be. Here I have another visualization of areas where the plants were especially in bad condition. The on-site inspection with the farmer, really the results were wonderful, especially exactly in those areas which popped up in June or July. We have like holes where no plants are standing anymore, now in August, in September, in October, or where the plants are not optimal. Some numbers, I will be finished soon, I promise. Example for the asparagus field, when it comes to organic farming, which is the case there, you can reduce the use of copper, which is an organic pesticide in organic agriculture, by 50%. That's a huge deal because copper will stay in the soil and you cannot use that forever. And in conventional farming, you can reduce the use of pesticides by 50%. What does it mean for the output in agriculture? On 1 acre alone, you can increase the output by 10 to 15% using the data we created. That means on 1 acre of asparagus field, 500 kilogram plus. So I'm right at the end. Everything that's up now is, I really want to thank Huawei for their support, for providing the technology and the know-how we needed for this project, and of course, especially the Austrian Ministry of Agriculture and the Austrian Research Promotion Agency. And of course, family Welechowski from the Nussberggut, the farmers. Without the collaboration of those partners, this project wouldn't have been able to do. So, we heard, together with local partners, Austria is getting ready for a great future. Thank you for your attention. Spread the word and help enhance the future. Thank you.
Ready for a great future. Also, Europe is getting ready for a great future. And this is what we are going to be seeing and hearing and learning about from our next speaker. He will share with us his insights on Europe's largest smart railway logistics terminal, which will be finished early next year. He's joining us from Hungary, and it will be the first terminal on our continent that uses a private 5G network, not just for internal communications, but also for the operation of technological devices. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the CEO and member of the board of the East-West Intermodal Logistics Service. He came from Hungary. Here is János Talosi. Just a moment also, this is the moment, if you do not speak Hungarian, where you please use your headset in order to understand, because we're going to have a translation into English. So this is now the time also to put your headsets on, and you will get an English translation. The talk will be in Hungarian, the slides will be in English. So without further ado, enjoy, and János Talosi.
Hölgyeim és uraim, tisztelt vendégek! Hallgatva az előadásokat, egy picit átértékeltem azt az anyagot, amit
somewhat reassess the material I've prepared for you as a demo. When back 2 years ago we started to build the terminal, or actually work on the concept, we were driven by two factors. On the one hand, environmental protection and the cutting-edge technologies, most modern technologies. As for environmental protection, what we had in mind is to create a terminal which is unique in the world. In 100%, it's meant to be built on green energy. Secondly, 5G. A private 5G network, that was a dream, which enables for us to operate from a control room, and the cranes would be operated directly and remotely, obviously. This technology enables all terminals operating within a terminal to be connected to another unique development in the world, an operation system an OS that enables the operators to work with a digital twin in a real-time mode to their operational tasks simultaneously. I've prepared with some data, facts and figures for you, but I will just go into a few of these details, not all. Terminal is only supplied with green energy. 2 megawatt worth solar energy plant is being built, and we also create an energy storage device which at medium level voltage provides for the appropriate capacity to operate our cranes. As for the figures, the capability of the terminal capacity and the technology, they are both impressive. 1 million TU per year is the loading capacity. 1,400,000 square meters and 3 million more area to be developed is also available at the terminal. We can adopt all kinds of technologies. We're capable of meeting all the environmental requirements, filling and loading complete trucks and lorries on the railroad as well. We can also provide for ISO isolated containers or cooled containers, and any other standardized loading is possible in our terminal. As for the construction of the terminal, it's highly intense, the construction work itself. I'm quite sure that by 2022 February, you will all be welcome to visit the cutover, the official inauguration of the terminal. It is totally a private capital expenditure process. The total cost exceeds 80 million euros. Operation system is locally developed. It's called Moxware 5.0. It's a new type of application introduced to the world, which, by the way, eliminates any human resources-related problems or epidemic or pandemics-related issues, because it's only a very few people that is needed there. As for the technologies to be applied in our terminal, they are all in line with the green thought, the green vision that we've defined at the part of starting the project, the point of starting the project. All the loading devices will be electric. The terminal tractors will be operated electronically as well, and obviously any tools, cars, vehicles using internally within the terminal are also driven electronically. There will be only one unit there, which will be a diesel hybrid. That's the crane, one piece of the crane, because for the time being, that crane cannot be swapped by a fully electronic crane yet. As for the mobile loading device, one of the developers promised that by the summer of 22, there will be an electric solution for that as well. Obviously, we will be one of the forerunners to use that new device. East-West Gate is going to be the first really green terminal. The EU goals, as well as the climate goals of the Hungarian government, will be fully met at the point of inauguration, and there will be a new type of thinking implemented here, converting into practical solutions in the logistics industry that will be a totally unique and novel vision. Railway infrastructure is much less of a heavy load on the environment than public road, and majority of the public transportation can be converted into railway, and in that case this may be major progress in order for agreeing and achieving rather the environmental protection goals, global objectives. That is, when we started this project we knew that the private 5G network is going to be the future-proof technology that we want to put into everyday practice. 2 years ago, in fact, that was a vision, because it was only last year when the first such terminals were built with private 5G network, but those were harbor, seaport terminals only. After lengthy preparation and following successful series of negotiations with Huawei, we started the joint project, which is the first in Europe and also first in the world. This is a terminal with switching gauges, intermodal terminal, establishing that based on a private 5G network. This private 5G network enables such high-level technological developments in terms of storaging or logistics and any other aspects that I believe makes a vision reality in our case, and this could be a target for anyone in the world. This cooperation with Huawei, in fact, gives us a unique opportunity that enables the terminal to go well beyond the current stage of any other currently operating terminals, paving the way for the future. As I said before, in the first quarter of 2022, the terminal will go operational. And again, you're all welcome. I'd like to sincerely extend an invitation to you for the cutover. And I did not go into the professional details because I believe on our website, all experts will find the specific information that might be of interest to you and should be interested in the process of the construction, which will come to the phase of erecting the cranes and applying the 5G technology. But feel free to monitor the live stream, because in 24 hours a day we keep broadcasting the progress on our CapEx. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I believe these images, the videos spoke for themselves. Future is here by introducing the Fischer intermodal terminal. Thank you very much for your kind attention. I'd like to thank Huawei for the invitation. And again, I'll be more than happy to have you as guests in the first quarter of 2022 at the inauguration of the terminal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Janos Stalosi. And thank you for actually taking us with you on the construction site of Europe's largest smart railway logistics terminal. Wow, what fascinating insights those were. And we got something more for you. Because now, our next innovator is somebody who took the whole 5G innovation game to a totally new level. He can also show you how you can use it and make it more efficient, even more. And he is the winner of the Future Zone 5G Award 2021, in cooperation also with Huawei. And he will be talking about the 5G innovations of this year. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the program manager, R&D from AT&S, Austria Technology and System Technik. Please welcome on the stage, here comes Erich Schlaffer.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the last session before lunch break. Welcome to the topic Green and Fast. I will introduce you a bit more in smart solutions for data transmission at 5G and beyond 5G, 6G. Just a short outline. What is the motivation? Why AT&S is dealing with this topic? I will present you the technical concept and what are the benefits for such concept. So on this slide, on the right-hand side, you can see the architecture and the periphery, what is required, that we can transmit data from the operator, from a smartphone, for instance, to the cloud, to the server farms. And this is totally different to the existing 4G, 3G or LTE level. We have these high macro power cells, which you can submit signals up to 25 kilometers. And this is totally similar, what we know already from 4G. But you see, we need a lot of more things, between the end user and the server farms. We need massive MIMO, multiple input, multiple output, for a distance, to communicate wireless, to send data in an urban area up to 1 kilometer. We need this millimeter wave approach for dense urban areas like megacities, in a frequency range of 28 and 39 gigahertz. And in addition, we need these small cells for short distances, high frequencies that we can submit a high amount of data in a very short time. In summary, it means we have to accelerate the 5G efficiency. That means to combine the technology for optimize the performance in terms of radio efficiency, to use multi-chip module integration to reduce the size and the weight for deployment efficiency, and we need flexible and scalable functionality across all these frequency bands, and the power level through this architecture. So the existing technology, the state-of-the-art, explained on an analog beamformer IC for millimeter wave phased array. Don't worry, I don't dive too much in technical details. But this is the big difference between 4G and 5G. It means each operator has its own antenna, and this is realized by so-called beamforming. The beam, always is in relation to the operator. Also on moving end users, for instance. And therefore we need this kind of phased array antenna, and each of these antenna need a separate power amplifier and a low noise amplifier for each of these antenna element, that we can achieve the maximum output power. And if the frequency goes higher at 28, 39 gigahertz or beyond, 60 gigahertz, the minimum space between the antenna elements will be reduced. And this is somehow a collision. It means if we are going with the existing technology, and if we use all this low noise amplifier, this power amplifier, and this core chips, and we assemble it on the same layer, it means we scale up the footprint. And if we need more footprint, that means we need longer feeding lines. And longer feeding lines for the antenna means we reduce the performance of the signal. And in addition, we need more power. We increase the power consumption. And therefore, we are working on a concept, or we have developed a concept where we can integrate the components. What you can see here, this is, for instance, a low noise amplifier, a power amplifier. We can stack it more or less, that we can reduce the footprint. And in addition, we add a kind of air channels in the stack up of a PCB, and air means we don't generate additional losses. And what you can see on the right picture, on the bottom, this is very scalable and a flexible concept. On this cross-section on the right-hand upper side, you can see this is more or less this dark area. This is an air channel in the stack up of a PCB. So you can see how the signal will be transmitted from the chip through this air cavity up to the antenna, and it will be radiated, or it will be received in terms of, so it means it's bidirectional. You can receive and you can send data. How does the concept looks like? You see, we have this embedded chip. This might be a CMOS or indium phosphide, gallium arsenide, a gallium nitride chip, which is very powerful. And therefore, we also need a smart heat dissipation concept. That means we spread the heat underneath the chip, and the signal will be transmitted beyond the chip through the strip line, this embedded air-filled waveguide to the antenna arrays. So what are the benefits of the system? First, we can use materials which is more sustainable, and we can also increase the bandwidth. At 28, 39 gigahertz, we can increase the bandwidth up to 20–30%, and at 140 giga, which is suitable for 6G application, we can increase the bandwidth by 100% from 15 up to 30 gigahertz. For a high resolution, we need a lot of antenna. It's called antenna arrays, and therefore we can add on one hand side the antenna on the chip if the frequency goes higher, but in addition we also can add much more of these antenna arrays on this printed circuit board, which help to increase the resolution. And the air-filled substrate integrated waveguide is a function, at this design mode, which help to reduce the losses by using standard material, instead of very expensive Teflon, PDFE materials, for instance. And all these concepts are very scalable in terms of frequency range, 28, 39 gigahertz, which is for 5G, but also for the coming frequencies beyond 70, 80 gigahertz up to 140 gigahertz. We are flexible in number of antenna arrays, because we can realize all these antenna arrays on top of the PCB. The power consumption of the chip is very important, because the operation temperature need to be very stable, that we always have the same performance. and therefore we also have a scalable and flexible heat dissipation concept. And what you can see on this slide with the air-filled waveguide, it's possible to reduce the losses significant, with these air cavities by factor 10 times 15. So it means faster signal speed by reduce the power consumption, and sustainability is not a contradiction anymore. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you.
Much, Erich Schlafner. Vielen Dank. Thank you. So we heard a lot this morning. We learned about how technology can be used to better understand nature and really help it.
Absolutely. Also, we discovered, or we learned, we got to know 3 incredible innovators, that the people who are behind those projects, who are the ones who actually move the needle to create a more sustainable future for our planet and also for Europe along the way. And now it's time to actually refreshen ourselves and to get some great food.
To let it all sink, all the informations, to, as you said, refresh, take a pause and relax. We'll have now food, and very special kind of food.
Yeah, it's going to be a fusion kitchen, because today it's China and Vienna together in a way, Austria, Europe. We're going to have a fusion kitchen of Chinese and Viennese right next door. Enjoy. We'll be back here at 2 o'clock. Then we'll start our afternoon session. So all the best.
We'll also be here again online at 2 o'clock. So enjoy your meal, enjoy your pause, and we'll see each other at 2 p.m. Thank you.